Hello, I'm Carlos Carrera. I'm going to talk about the principles of assessment. So, to support my speech, I will share this presentation. So, we are ready. The principles of language assessment and testing. Beforehand, we have to know some key concepts. So, we have what is assessment? Well, assessment is a process in which we monitor, evaluate, or check the student performance in his academic life. We can do it in many forms, but for me, I took the two ways in which we can assess students. We have the formative, which means that is an assessment that is going to be developed constantly in the student academic life. We normally do it to check if the student understood the actual lesson. They can be done at the end of the lesson. They can be done once or twice a week, maybe at the end of the month. And then we have the summative assessment. They are normally done at the end of certain periods because they evaluate or monitor if the student has learned what we taught around the period of classes. They also determine if the student has learned or not, or even more, if the student passes or not. Next, we have the principle. So practicality, it refers to normally how is the test activity or tool is done. For this principle, we look for is if the test or activity or the task is easy to understand, easy to elaborate, it has a low cost. Maybe if these don't consume many time or too much time for doing it, remember that we want to apply it in our classes. Eh, and if this test or activity take too much time, well, we are not applying this principle. If the student don't understand, then we also are not applying this principle. Well, let's continue. Then we have the reliability. This principle refers if the activity or task is clear for both students and teachers. Because if by any case we are not available to take the test or the activity, we are going to give this activity to another teacher or to another administrator. And our test or activity has to be as clear as possible because this administrator have to understood what we are trying to test or evaluate. And also the student have to have to be clear about what they are trying to do. And if not, well, this activity is not reliable as we want. And the most important aspect or principle that is the validity. So what we mean as validity, we refer to if this activity, test, or any tool that you want to apply for assessing the students. We want to see if this has a useful purpose or achieve a certain goal in the student performance. For example, we want to know if the student has really learned the lesson or he has achieved a skill or maybe has mastered some skill or domain of knowledge. And if not, well, this test or activity is not valid for applying, and we have to rethink about it. Then, as an extra, we have the authenticity. It refers if this activity has a connection to real world activities, which mean activities that are developed outside the classes. And then we have the watchback, because remember that after assessing, we have to give feedback. And if our feedback is not well done, we can give an effective watchback, which means that the student will be confused and we don't want that. As an assessment tool or task, I choose the quiz. Yes, I know that this is the most common assessment tool, but we have to see, or we have to know why it's the most common, why the teachers want this assessment tool in every class, or why they choose it instead of other assessment tool, because they are a lot. So analyzing this, I take this quiz as an example on the internet. We have first that it is a quiz, so it is easy to do. This take not too much time to do, and for the student, it maybe took some minutes. Well, it also depends on what we are evaluating or assessing, because if you look at this, it is an exam, so we expect that this assess took around what, an hour of classes, so we have to look at this. So for validity, for practicality, I think this quiz is is achieving the practicality principle. So practicality, check. Then we have the reality. So we see that this is the order. Answer the question below and click the submit button. So if I or any other teacher give this quiz to the students, I think that the order is clear and it can be understood by the students, so they will not have any trouble doing this test. And also, if we look, we have these questions related to the topic, then we have the answers. So I think that anyone can take or administrate this test. So that principle is also done. But if we check the validity part, well, we don't have any objectives or some certain goal, so we cannot be sure if this test or assessing tool accomplish the purpose. So I think that we have to guess that it accomplished or not. But being objective, these tests do not accomplish any validity principle. So we have to say that for the validity principle, there is a big no for this test. And also, these kind of tests allow to the teacher to give feedback, because, for example, if this part is wrong, then next we can have a feedback for the student, where we can tell how the student can correct, or maybe also give hints that are easy to understand too, because remember that we want that the student understand this topic and not confuse them more. So we have to be clear about this, the feedback. And also, if the answer is correct, well, we can also write maybe some hints also that help the students to avoid confusion about other topics or other answers. Also, we can write maybe some word of advices on how to remember the answer. So I think that most of the quizzes accomplish the principles of assessment and testing. For example, as I demonstrated that this quiz mostly accomplished those principles. But well, then I think that I cover everything, and that's all. Thank you.